get started here. First, excited to actually get started. I think we've had a lot of talk, and it's about that time to get going. Guys report today. First practice is tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. Summer was good, so appreciate Coach Pittman, Lee Marks, Brandon Pringle. Thought those guys did a very good job with our summer program. I also thought the new rule of allowing the coaches to go out there and be a part of the training in the summertime and having a chance to meet with these guys, especially as a new staff, was very beneficial for us. It's interesting because not everybody in the country probably utilized the time maybe the way we did, and maybe 3-4 years down the road you don't use it as much when you've been with the team for some time, because we do like to allow our players to have that be their time and to also grow as a team and let those leaders get out there and really establish themselves and teach the younger guys during the summer. But for the situation we're in right now was very good. We do have an open scrimmage, which will be August 15th. That'll be our second scrimmage. The first one is closed. So we'll have a better feel, obviously, for our team at that time. And we'll go through our whole pregame routine and make sure everybody's on the same page. That'll be good to have our fans out there to see these guys and get them used to playing in front of people again. And at that time, we should have just about everything in. School starts a little bit later this year. It actually starts on the 25th. So we'll have a week prior to when school starts. We'll almost treat it like a normal week for us. That's like school would begin. So we'll have our practice times, meetings will start at 1:30. Practice is about 2:50 on the field. So we'll be in the afternoons during the season on practice. Joey Materano, I know you guys had some questions on that. He still will play linebacker. He'll also play some fullback for us, so we'll be utilizing him that way. To what degree, I don't know yet. We're still kind of working through that, but good to have him back. He's been with us now for about 10 days of getting back here and working out. So he worked out while he was in Arizona and playing baseball. So he's ready to rock and roll. But he's going to have to get himself back into the football part of things just a little bit from some of the PRPs that he missed this summer. Kyle Sosnowski, if you guys don't know, he is a medical redshirt. We'll finish up this semester academically. August 16th is our Optimist Day. Excited about that. Really looking forward to getting those young guys out on the field and having our players participate with them. And I think that's a huge part of our success is that program, and so we're looking forward to that day as well. Last thing, tomorrow will be the first time we get to be in the new facility, the Chevrolet field out there. So I do want to thank the Chevrolet family. We're just getting it lined up today. It looks great. It's going to be very good for us to be able to utilize that facility on campus, to be able to go back and forth, from the grass there. We got plenty of space to do what we need to do. So to have that, the indoor, the stadium, all right here, it's going to be easy for us to bounce back and forth. And I think that's going to be very beneficial for us. So at this point now, guys they're here, they're back, they're ready. We let the veterans go last Friday, told them to go home, see their families, tell their girlfriends they'll see them in January. It's time to get to work. The young guys finished up, will actually finish up, or finished up this morning with one of their classes. So they've been here for 26 days and been grinded and working. So we're excited to get those guys out there as well and see what they can do. With that, we'll open it for questions.
Harsin, roster-wise, are all the recruits in? And Jabril Frazier wasn't here this summer, so everybody good to go going into the season?
Jabril is not here right now. Will not be here through fall camp, but will be here when school starts. Everybody else is here. Everybody's here, good to go. All the new guys and everybody that was on the roster that you guys already know about. Some that are not on the roster right now, but everybody else is here.
Anybody out injury-wise, discipline-wise, any of that stuff?
Nope. No discipline issues going into camp, and no injuries going into camp. So all the guys that were banged up are going to participate in camp. I don't think there's a couple guys that are limited. Maybe when we get to two-a-day practices and all that, some of the older guys that have been doing this for a while. We'll always look at that as we get into camp, but right now everybody's full go.
Are there any local walk-ons you can talk about, or do you have to wait till school starts?
Yeah, I think we have to actually wait until we get into practice and all that. But we've got several guys, several walk-ons right now, really good, that we're really excited about, that'll be here. And so we'll talk about those guys once we actually get into camp and get started.
How about you just on the eve of your first? How about you just on the eve of your first fall camp? Do you still get nervous or the jitters at all from having first here at Boise State?
Yeah, you know, every year it doesn't matter, you know, where you are, how long you've been doing it. I mean, it's the beginning of something. You don't know what that is exactly. So, you know, I think more excited than nervous. You know, I know how it's going to go. You know, that's not. You start getting a little bit more nervous as games come up because you start to play opponents. We know how it's going to go in fall camp. We're just excited. And I think as a staff, we're all looking forward to seeing how this summer program, what these guys have done, what they've learned since we've been here, how it's all going to translate. And we've been out there enough to have a pretty good idea of where we think we are. You know, so we're excited about that. We just want to get to work. And I think what we all look forward to is seeing some of these young guys as well. You know, whether they're going to contribute right now or not, we don't know that. We're going to anticipate they're all going to contribute, and then at some point we'll make a decision on whether they are or not.
What are kind of your objectives, especially early on in camp?
Well, I think it goes to the same thing back in fall camp. I mean, every unit's got their objective. For us, I mean, it's going to be obviously building our team chemistry, number one, overall. You know, we have a way of doing things here, and, you know, that's part of our culture. But I do think our culture and our chemistry, you know, that's going to be shown there in that first couple weeks, and probably sooner than that, you know, where guys are. And you've got a good feel because summer, they're around each other. I mean, you have a pretty good feel, but when you start getting the pads on and you start getting more demands from the coaches, and we start pressing more, that's going to tell more about us. So I want to see our team come out there. I want to see a team that's disciplined, a team that's playing tough, a team that believes in what we're doing. And then as we get through that first scrimmage, we really start to focus on, all right, refining our skills and detailing the schemes and all that, and really start preparing ourselves for the season.
The defensive line here has produced so many NFL caliber players, and when Boise State was at its pinnacle, you guys were able to rotate so many guys. How much of a concern is that unit going into camp and finding enough guys to play the way you want to play? Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a big emphasis for us, is going to be that rotation, what it's going to be. You can't play with 4 guys the entire time. You're going to have to find, you'd like to find 4 more that you can 2-platoon that. So, you know, Coach Call, we've talked about this. I mean, we have the guys, and if you're talking numbers, we've got to get the type of play out of them that we need. So that's going to be still a developmental process as we get into it. It's going to be a rotation, kind of like the old line a little bit. You got to move guys around and see where they fit. One guy might play in, he might play inside, and different things. That's what camp's about. And, you know, we get into that second scrimmage, we'll solidify, you know, where we are, what our rotation is going to start to look like before we get into that first game. But you're right, absolutely. D-line is a huge emphasis. It always has been. We've had good players in the past. These guys have seen those guys. I think from what I've seen this summer, they're developing as far as physically to be able to go out there and do what we need them to do. Now it's a matter of going out there and doing it.
We've got a chance to kind of look at the fall practice schedule a little bit, but I know in the past you kind of split up players or split up the team. Looks like everybody's going to be practicing together for the most part this year.
Yeah, you know, the thought behind that, when you split them up, I think the teaching part of it, I think that is really good because you can really emphasize, you know, the 2 groups. Where it gets you a little bit, sometimes in a position group, you may only have, you know, 2 guys going in one session. Now you got a 5-minute individual and you've got 25 minutes of it. You can burn guys out and you're standing there. And we've all been there before. We got maybe 2 tight ends, for example, and they just, there he goes. He's got the right case on there to protect it. But you don't want to, you know, I've always thought, you know, in those situations there, we want to practice with a particular pace. And if you're limited, I mean, you're going to have to stand there in certain groups. So I do think this, and I think on top of that too, the young guys being out there now, if we think these guys can contribute, let's get them in the mix early and see where they are. Now, as we go, they'll individual with us. The young guys will get to do some 7-on-7 with us, but they don't do any team. They get a watch. And then the veterans leave, and then the young guys come back and they do the team periods after they saw it. So it's a matter of kind of watching it, being a little bit involved, and then getting it all by yourself after you've seen how it's supposed to look and how the intensity is and how the guys run it. So we did it last year at Arkansas State. I really liked it. I think for the evening portion of camp too, as far as teaching and meeting times and all that, spreading that out, it gives the coaches a little bit more time to really detail up that practice.
What's your approach with the quarterbacks going in here? Are you gonna give Finley some shots with the ones, see what he can do, or is Grant kind of entrenched there at this point? Or?
Yeah, Grant will start with the ones. I mean, we'll stick with that pecking order. As we get into camp, Finley will have an opportunity to be with the ones. Tommy will have an opportunity to be with the ones as well. Where that happens, I don't know at this point. Mike's got that all figured out. But we do give those guys, everybody, a chance to work together with the one group, whatever that is for the day, so they have opportunities so we can see what they can do. I think that's what you have to do, and at most positions it'll be like that as well. They'll get a chance to go with certain quarterbacks, certain O-line, and things like that.
With Finley, talking with Coach Sanford the other day, he was saying that he still feels like he needs to be able to cut it loose. How much of Bryan Finley did we see in spring? And then also, you mentioned those kids getting reps with the #1 team. Considering they haven't played in games, how important is it to kind of simulate that, being with the ones, that energy or whatnot?
Yeah. You saw 100% of Finley, but you saw about 80% of what his physical ability is, in spring. I mean, that was where his arm is. He's had a good summer. He said that he's throwing the ball really well. He feels like he's cutting it loose. We'll get a chance to see that. And he needs to be. I mean, this is time. We've got a deadline coming up August 28th, so he needs to be prepared. And as far as the opportunity to be with the first group, we call the blue group out. That's our first group. And we go blue, orange, and white. We call that blue group out, and you're a guy that hasn't played and you're really wanting to play. Yeah, your anxiety level's going up, and it's about as much as we can simulate. Now you're also going against that blue defense as well, so you're getting the best of the best for that particular series or set, and that's where you get to see guys how they're going to elevate their play, or if there's still issues and we've got to get them dialed in better.
Coach talked a lot about the question marks going into camp with the D-line or the O-line or the #2 running back or #3 receiver. Is there one that stands out to you that is the most important or needs to be settled the quickest, or that you're looking at more than the others?
Yeah, all of them. I mean, really, I think Murph said it, I think the O-line and D-line. I mean, it's going to start there. And you want to get your lines dialed in. You want to have depth in your lines. And then you get to your skill positions. We can always move guys around and be creative and different things like that. It's very hard to move guys around and be creative up front. And so, we've got to establish that. The hard thing is the first 2 days are in helmets. So you never really get a good idea in the first 2 days of where your O-line or D-line are at. And then the third day you put the pads on, and then you start to get a better feel, of where those guys are at physically, because that's what it's all about up front. It's a physical game. And so you're really looking into that 4th, 5th practice, where you're starting to go, okay, now we can start moving some guys around. We're out of the underwear, so to speak. We're into real pads, and we're playing ball. And that's where it begins. The other positions and all that, you can see the one-on-ones, routes. They've been doing that all summer long. These guys have been in shorts and T-shirts and all that all summer. So it really doesn't affect the skill guys too much. It affects the guys up front.
Is there a lot of competition at the O-line right now, do you see? Or do you see guys that have kind of, is the top 5 kind of set themselves ahead of the others?
Well, yeah, we have a pecking order with the top 5, but I hope there should be competition there. There should be a lot more competition than there was in spring, and that's what it needs to be. And so you're establishing that 6th, 7th guy, hopefully 8th guy in the rotation.
Chris Peterson used to have an exercise at the beginning of fall camp where every player among the 105 needs to know every other player's name. You call them by name. And you talk about the importance of chemistry right off the bat. What kind of chemistry building tools do you use?
Yeah, well, I remember that, and we'll still incorporate that. Matter of fact, I think it was one of our better players, Nate Potter, and if I remember right, somebody asked Pete who he was, and I think we had beards at that time. He called him Grizzly Adams. So we'll do a better job of knowing who the players are because of that. But here's the one thing: the difference is these guys have been here, together all summer. I'm not going to assume anything, but they know who they are, and we'll continue, to build that team chemistry. We'll do it in a lot of different ways. That's what camp's about. You're not doing football the entire day. There's still quite a few activities in there that we'll have some fun with to build that team chemistry, and I think that's extremely important. That's part of our culture. That's part of who we are. And when it's all said and done, I mean, those things really make the difference as we start to play, and they're kind of what sustain you throughout the entire year. Those memories of fall camp, you're able to kind of draw back on those, throughout the season.